ABC Weather Lab. Here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. While the tropics stay busy and Dorian, the main front burner story over the next couple of days, locally, our heat's increasing. A little bit of a heat wave as we head into the weekend. Temperatures as hot as they've been all summer, which, by the way, in Lafayette, 98 degrees. We've hit that twice. We may hit that twice in the next couple of days and maybe better that by a degree or two at times. So let's take a look first off outside. Justin Terro getting us a nice time lapse of the clouds out there. And oh, you just kind of want to lay back on the grass, look up at the sky until you know it's 95 or 96 degrees outside, and in the sun it feels like it's 135, but it's still very nice. Thank Justin for getting that shot there. And as we take a look at what's going on today, we've been dialed into the radars from Jacksonville through South Carolina and Wilmington, Delaware this afternoon, and you can clearly see a very well organized hurricane. You don't see all the precipitation this far out because the earth curves, so you don't see the moisture beyond. But what we have noticed, this is a 5-hour loop here, that the eye wall was kind of closed earlier today, now open rather earlier today. Now it's closed up. It's been a little bit more organized. So this is a very well organized, strong top end category 2 storm. Still a slight window for a little bit more in the way of strengthening, but certainly getting stronger. Notice these strong squalls here going around through the south. Very intense weather there. In fact, I did some interrogations doing the Doppler velocities coming out of South Carolina. Now, mind you, we're shooting this up high in the sky, but you can see winds that support 110 mile an hour winds at the surface. Aloft, they're going to be a little bit higher, maybe 120, 130 mile an hour winds. So certainly a bona fide category 2 hurricane here with 110 mile an hour winds. And those tropical rain bands just edging on the coastline right now. The worst of it staying just offshore, but that's going to change as this continues to move northward. It's going to run out of ocean and start impacting land from South Carolina up through North Carolina, which, by the way, they're already starting to see some tropical rain bands there. As we look at the water vapor imagery, our tropical storm that was in the Gulf has moved inland. It's a depression, high pressure in between. That's strengthening between this low here and Dorian off to the east. That's why the heat will continue to build over our part of the world over the next several days, with temperatures a degree or two hotter than today and maybe a degree or two hotter the day after that as compared to tomorrow. Here's the infrared satellite imagery. Tropical storm Ferdinand down to a tropical depression. Most of the convection inland. This storm is over and done with, but the threat of producing some heavy rainfall South Texas through Mexico over the next, say, 24 to 36 hours. Meanwhile, we go over to Dorian, and again, I kind of want to show you the satellite imagery over Dorian as we can kind of see how things have been getting a little bit better organized. You see some of that deeper convection flaring up and then flaring back down, but still we have quite a visible eye here, quite intense hurricane, category 2 with 110 mile an hour winds. Moving to the north-northwest at about 8, so it's finally beginning to move, and now that it's moving, it's getting fresh hot water, so that is another reason why there could be a little bit of a strengthening phase, a brief one, over the next 24 hours or so before going back down. But right now the forecast track has it paralleling the South Carolina, North Carolina coast as a category 2 storm between 105 and 110 miles an hour, weakening just a little bit as it gets through North Carolina, but more effects on North Carolina and South Carolina as opposed to Georgia and whatever we have seen so far in Florida. And then that system moving way out to sea and may impact the Canadian Maritimes down the line as a pretty potent non-tropical system. Here are the wind fields. Here's those tropical storm force winds that will cause power outages. The red are hurricane force winds and wind gusts. That'll be affecting areas such as Charleston up through Myrtle Beach, most of South Carolina, and then most of coastal North Carolina, including Wilmington, all the way up through Hatteras, and then finally moving out to sea. So the big picture as we open it on up and see what's going on, the storm surge is going to be the main issue. 4 to 7 feet as you get into portions of South Carolina, and then the upper portions of South Carolina, 5 to 8 feet, and that doesn't include some high water marks, and 4 to 7 feet all the way up through portions of North Carolina. As for the bigger picture, what do we have going on elsewhere across the tropical basin? A lot going on. This system won't affect us moving out to sea. Gabrielle won't affect us, could become a hurricane. That's moving off to to the northeast. This tropical wave doing nothing, and the wave coming off the African coast. We may have to watch down the line, but the bottom line for us, as Dorian moves up along the east coast, we're going to stay high and dry as we head into the weekend with mostly sunny skies and temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. So a warm evening ahead, quiet night, 73 the overnight low. That's not too bad by tomorrow morning. 96 to 97 the high tomorrow, and that heat index not too terribly high as dew points come down in the afternoon. 98 for Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. And then as we get into early next week, we get a few more clouds, a little bit more humidity, and that will hopefully bring our temperatures closer to the mid 90s versus the upper 90s.
Oh, that'll feel so much better, right?
Not, said no one.
Exactly.
Right.
Thanks, Rob.